Hello and welcome to Zach and Aaron's Better Than Mediocre Rafting Show. It's Friday. Aaron's not here, so in his replacement, we have both Aaron and I were good friends with Steve. So, like somebody who we both know well, our friend Steve Welch. Welcome to the show, Steve.
Nice to be here. Nice to be guest hosting for Aaron.
Yeah.
I'll try and fill his shoes.
And for those of you who don't know Steve, he was a general manager of Arda for 35 years and kind of stepped down a year or so ago, 2 years ago, and is currently number 3 at Arda, but is a couple months away from fully retiring. So he's going to hopefully have more time to be on the show. Right?
Yeah, this will be my new career. We'll see how it goes.
Aaron's replacement?
Maybe I'll do my own spinoff.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Steve's slightly less mediocre review show.
All right. Well, you would do better than us. Because sometimes Aaron starts to show us sunscreen on or he's eating food still. And if you can just follow basic principles of like being an adult, you can definitely do better than us.
I'll try.
For those of you watching, this is a weekly show we do live. Please comment. It makes it fun for us to talk about. If you have a second and can like and subscribe, we always appreciate that. And Steve has some videos for us to watch. Steve suggested some videos of some of our favorite rapids of all time. We're going to cover Blossom Bar on the Rogue, Clavey on the Tuolumne, and Greenwall in the Illinois. But I want to start with this that I found. And this is a Russian-style catamaran.
Wow. And we don't know where this is.
I'm somewhere in the Soviet Union, I'm guessing.
Okay.
Former Soviet Union, probably Siberia or something.
Has that person just... Oh.
Yeah, that's the best part. No PFD. Look at this. No PFD holding on to a throw bag.
Yeah, that's how they did it in my Swiftwater class.
Oh, yeah, back in the 70s.
Oh, my God.
But
wow, this is...
But I think he gets the guy out.
Wow.
Doesn't it look like, I mean, that's what I saw. I think right there.
Yeah.
I mean, he's basically diving down. Look at that, feet down. Gets the guy out. And then he gets sucked back in.
Does he get sucked back in? But he's still theoretically holding onto a throw bag.
I don't know.
Holy crap.
I didn't watch this far. Oh, look at that. There he is.
Oh.
Yeah, this popped up on Facebook today. So another throw bag. Wonder if we get another person jumping in. It's pretty nasty.
Yeah, this is reinforcing my decision to retire. Holy crap.
Oh, there he is.
Oh,
he didn't look very alive there. Oh, there we got another guy jumping in. This guy has a PFD on.
This is how they run this rapid. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, like, this got me thinking, how often have you seen somebody recirculate in a hole like this?
I was just gonna say, I've never seen anything like this. I've heard when you just talk about it, how to get out of it, going to the bottom and coming out, it always sounds like, oh, I guess that's what I would do. It shouldn't be that hard. This is a guy without a PFD on. And he's
holding the rope, right? He was holding the rope in his hand.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like it's that different of a hole than anything I've ever seen before. I mean, right? You've seen holes that look like similar to that.
Yeah.
That's frightening.
Yeah, I mean, so Bryce writes, I remember learning this technique in a Swiftwater rescue class. Are you kidding? I mean, so this is where I think people might think, oh, what do you do when this happens? You see somebody swimming like that. And my answer is cross your fingers. Like I'm not going to go in after anybody or send anybody in after. I'm not going to turn one victim into too.
No, I think the throw bagging is the right thing to do, right? Like you would deploy a throw bag in that situation. But yeah, jumping in seems a little extreme. It looks like it's, I may not have been the first time they've done that, right? Like this might be.
They're used to it. Like, oh, hey, I'll go get Bobby out. Let me jump in like I
That's
normally
what
do
we
with
do
my,
here.
yeah.
I don't know. That's a tough one. I would obviously jumping in isn't recommended by anybody.
But okay, good. That's what I thought. It's a joke. Because I was like, is he serious? Is he actually? Because I think some people would say, oh, this is a chance to use my rescue harness, right? Attach me to my little tether and I'll jump in and get him out. And I wouldn't do that ever. But yeah, is there a rock? I just think it's a really steep hydraulic. I think from this angle, it's sort of like a low head dam. There's maybe not a way to go. What we taught it, what you mentioned, Steve, is like you roll up like a ball and then try to go to the bottom and pop back out. Maybe they don't know that, or it's not working.
They don't look like there's any sides to it. That would be another option.
Like swim out the sides.
Yeah. But man, the amount of time that person was held under, even the first person who had a PFD on,
yeah,
was frightening. Right?
Yeah. I kept looking for him. I'm assuming he was downstream. Like, oh no, he must have popped up downstream. And then I saw the guy jump in with that life jacket. I was like, wow, he must still be in there.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
My other thing is, like, would you throw a throw bag in there? Because you could, if somebody's getting beat up in there, if they don't know it's there, could they get tangled in the PFD and in the rope and make it worse?
I don't think so. I mean, I think tangling them and then yanking them out might be.
That's a good point.
Even if you're wrapped around their neck, that's probably better than staying in there.
So even if somebody's in there and they're just getting sort of trashed, just throw a throw bag in, hoping they pop up and grab onto it.
Yeah, somehow they can grab it with a hand or something. And then I think seems like the angle that you're pulling them out of from would have to change. Like that looked like you'd be pulling them straight to shore into that cliff. I'm not sure you'd have to go downstream.
Yeah.
But the other thing, when you see on the news, the fire departments performing those rescues where they'll come upstream with a boat to a low head dam from down below and get really, really close, but not get all the way into the wave. I don't know if they didn't have another boat handy, but you could theoretically put
a boat up there.
Yeah, with a rope on it, tethered, so that it didn't go into that hole. I don't know. Or you could just not run that rapid.
I mean, but what's crazy is what they did worked.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
yeah.
The first person saved the second person. The second person saved the first person, but then became a victim. And the third person went in and got that victim out. Like, what if they just kept sending people in? Like, hey, okay, number 4, it's your turn. Like,
just don't be the last person there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would be on live beta if it's my wife. That's interesting. If it's somebody like one of your kids, would you be like, hey, I'm going in? Rick, would you do the hold on to the rope, no PFD? Like, how far would you go? Would you do what the first guy did? That's a tough one.
That'd be tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, wife and kids might be a special situation, but God, let's hope we're never in that. We haven't made those decisions.
But I think the thing you said is correct. Don't do it.
Right. Yeah.
Like that rapid's dangerous as a terminal hole. It's known to serve people. Like, hey, let's board us this one.
If part of the decision-making process is who you would go in, you would only go in to rescue your wife or kids, then you should probably come up with a different plan.
Or don't bring your wife and kids.
Not worth it.
Yeah.
Well, bar with a drone.
Yeah. So before we start, I mean, the first thing I'll start with is drones aren't really legal here.
Yeah.
So
okay.
How do you feel about watching a video that was taken by a drone which shouldn't be used here?
It's awesome.
Okay, cool.
What a cool angle.
It is pretty cool. I'll tell you one cool fact before we show the video in drones. So drones aren't legal here on the entire Rogue. You're not supposed to have drones. But actually, I think they might technically be legal in this part. Come to think of it. Let me just think. So an interesting thing is, you know how on public lands we have wilderness and wild and scenic rivers, and on the Middle Fork, it's the Frank Church Wilderness, and there's a layer of protection on top that's like a wild and scenic river on top. Right?
Okay.
So it's like 2 layers of protection.
Yep.
On the Rogue, the wild and scenic was first, and they added the wilderness. And the wilderness boundary of the Rogue is the boundary of the wild and scenic river.
Okay. So there's no overlap.
There's no overlap. So technically, so the BLM, before it's wilderness, the BLM has put like a no drone fly order. Like you can't fly drones on the BLM section, which is not wilderness at all. But now this is the Forest Service part,
Forest
below
Service
Mariel.
section, yeah.
So now it's wilderness outside of the wild and scenic barrier. So technically, you can take off and land, I think, from the wild and scenic river barrier, as
From
long as
outside, a quarter mile or whatever it is.
yes. So I think potentially you can fly a drone above Blossom as long as you launch and land within a quarter mile of the river, which they probably did.
Within a quarter mile.
I think so. There might be some other Forest Service thing, but we're not a wilderness here. The wilderness is surrounding everything, but technically in the wild and scenic corridor, we're not in wilderness.
And you're saying that you can fly a drone within a wild and scenic corridor if it's not inside a wilderness area,
unless there's some other closure.
Okay.
Like just being wild and scenic doesn't mean you can't fly a drone.
Okay.
Right? It has to be in a management plan. If it's wilderness, you definitely can't fly a drone no matter what. In a wild and scenic corridor, it has to be in the management plan, or there has to be some sort of like agency rule against it.
You can fly it if you're in a jet boat on the road.
You probably can. And I think that's why they made the wilderness boundary stop at the wild and scenic boundary, because the jet boaters were like, we don't want any regulation. Like we'll be okay with the wilderness, just don't even get close to the river. I think that's what happened. But anyway, this is some video. Let me get it started of running Blossom Bar.
And I watched you and Aaron dissect it on your other show, and I have a slightly different way, much different way of running the rapid
than we do.
We'll see what this person does.
This is low water, right? This looks like low water to me.
Yeah. 1200.
Okay. So far, it's pretty good.
Yeah, but look at the angle that they're going across that eddy fence at versus the one when you were talking about it. You were in your little demos with your rowing school. Felt like you were pretty close to what's that, parallel with that wave right there. I guess that's okay. Yeah.
I mean, I personally, when I look at this, and this is now because now we're looking at like theoretically, I would want to have more angle breaking that lateral right there. So I would want my stern more downstream.
Okay. I wouldn't want it any further upstream. And I thought when looking at your videos from your boat the other day that you looked like you were with your stern more upstream. But yeah, I want more of an angle than that.
Yeah, that's the thing is we're like theoretical right now. I'm like, I want to break that lateral, so I want a lot of angle. But
almost do it with a downstream ferry angle.
That's what I would say. I mean, for me, the downstream ferry, like you want to pull down, cut through the lateral right there. There's a lateral right there. He hits like he's parallel to the lateral. I want to like break through it. Now, was the boat you saw? Was I in an oar boat or was I in a paddle assist?
The little oar boat thing.
I mean, if it's a little oar boat, I'm probably gonna
I know
cheat because I don't have to.
This looks like a pretty big boat.
Yeah, but right there, he didn't really break the eddy line. So, like, I think
that's why the angle gets lost.
Yeah, like he hits. So this is a thing I think about a lot. If he has more angle here, right? He kind of goes into the eddy
faster.
Right? If he has a downstream area, he breaks the lateral, goes to he kind of hits the lateral parallel here, and it kind of pushes him back out in the middle. And he hasn't broken the eddy line yet.
And the other thing I think about a lot when I'm talking to people about rowing rapids is the faster you get across that eddy line, the less whatever torque that the eddy line and the current are going to have on your boat, and the less likely you are to lose your angle. And so if you cut across that at a 90-degree angle, which would have been maybe another 45 degrees more than what the angle that this boat had, you get your whole boat into the eddy faster.
Yep.
And that reduces that twisting phenomenon. But it looks like they work that left-hand oar really, really hard. Get back in there.
He makes it. It's not a problem. But what happens to a lot of people, I think, here is they get tossed back out right here into the main current.
And they lose their angle completely. He still has an angle to catch that eddy, or this person does.
Exactly. Like he keeps a good head on his shoulders, but they do something where they then turn downstream and they try to pull instead of get to fix their angle first.
Yep.
And they just
spin all the way and try and push.
Yeah, they do something. And he just keeps he knows what to do and he keeps trying.
The other thing I got in the habit of doing, which is sloppy but works, is in that go back just a little bit further, the rock that you sort of pivot around.
Uh-huh.
I hit that rock every time.
Yeah.
And I pin my boat against it and basically stop all of my downstream momentum so that when I go into the chute, I don't have a lot of speed. And that makes it easier to get back to the left for me going through the chute. This person does the Sheboynger move, which is whatever, unsophisticated in a different way. I hit the upstream rock, and you can also hit the downstream rock. But eventually you sort of want to end on the left-hand side of the chute as you come out, right? Correct?
Yes. Yeah. So a lot of our guides do exactly what you're saying. They hit that rock with the side of their boat. The rock slows them down and it turns them perfectly.
Yeah.
So you just keep pulling, use it to pivot. And then I think what he did here that I like right in here, I'm thinking about dropping momentum so I don't hit that rock. So I would be pulling right here hard, as hard as I can, like way earlier so you don't hit that rock. But it did Sheboying him over there.
Barely. Yeah.
Barely. My last run, I came through here. I wanted a perfect line. So I came through, barely didn't touch the rock, came right by it, pulled off this, and then hit this rock here full on. Like I couldn't, I missed these rocks, but it hit this on at full speed. I couldn't get the boat around.
When I was up there, I was talking to Eric Weisseth about taking a drift boat through there. And that's what he says is the scariest thing, is how fast you're going straight at that rock.
And do they hit it?
In a drift boat, it's a little higher consequence.
Yeah, do they hit it a little bit, or do they have to miss it?
They have to miss it, or they try to miss it. I really like that downstream ferry angle right there. Like to work it over there.
This is not a light boat. Like it's pretty obvious. If this is a private boat, it's a pretty heavy private boat.
Yeah. I've done that before.
Hit that rock and spun around.
Every rock. That one for sure. And at this point, right? I mean, that's whatever, survival boating. Like you're not looking for style points.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm running a cat or like a light 13, I'm looking for style points. I want to catch every eddy I can.
No,
right.
This is a big boat.
I'm gonna go for this is a heavy boat. You can just tell by he pulls in the oars and it takes him like 3 or 4 strokes to start seeing momentum change. Right. And he's taking I'm assuming it's a man, it could be a woman. He or she, they are taking some big, strong strokes.
And at this point right here, get it over there. And that's a hard eddy to catch all of. I've done that. Yeah.
Yeah, but that could have been a wrap. It wasn't that far. I mean, that could have been a wrap or a flip right there.
Yeah.
If he was just a little, he or she was just a little slower. Yeah, that could have been a wrap. All right.
You know what else I do at Blossom or before Blossom if it's Blossom day? There's a rapid. I think it's called Chief John Rapid upstream, 5 miles. You know that rapid I'm talking
No, I
about?
have no idea. Is it above the ranch?
Yeah.
The one
Yeah.
just above the ranch?
No, it's 2 or 3 rapids above that.
Okay.
I think it's called Chief John's Rapid or John's Riffle or something.
Oh, John's.
Yeah.
I
The
think I just call it
entrance
John.
to it, to me, is the water's moving at the same speed as the water
Yeah.
entrance to Blossom. And what I'll do is put my boat on the left-hand side of that tongue that's in there and take those 3 or 4 really good, strong, powerful strokes that you need to move into that eddy at the top of Blossom, just to see how fast my boat is going to react and how much, like, can I do it still? That's always a worry. But like, is it going to take, like, how, to go from not moving to moving? Like, how many strokes does that take? How hard am I going to have to pull to get my boat, that heavy gear boat on that day, moving in that similar kind of current? And it's sort of one of those things. There's other rapids, you do the little, whatever, you have your rituals where you're sort of like making sure you can still do it, building your confidence.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, what if you do that and you can't do it? Like, I mean, is there like some day in the future where you're like, oh man, I'm not as strong as I used to be? Where you don't do it?
Then I'm looking for an oar paddle combo switch. Like, I got to make a move somehow. Do you
make that switch?
Miles
You're
to find someone else to row my boat.
Do you have lunch at the ranch? You're like, hey guys, I need to switch boats out. It's like, do you tell them why, or you're just like, I need to switch?
You need to practice. I think it'd be good if you practice taking the big boat through today.
I have on the white salmon. When we kayak the white salmon, I have what I call the aggressiveness test. So there's a waterfall in the white salmon called Houston Falls. It's like a 10-foot waterfall. And so when I kayak it, there's a rapid above it where I have to like do a certain move. And if I do it well, I run the waterfall. If I don't run the waterfall. It's just, am I paddling well that day?
Yeah.
And do I have an aggressive stroke? It's kind of the same thing. Like, do I have it? Am I in the mood?
If I can't make the move at John's Rapid, I'll just walk around Blossom.
Can you walk around Blossom?
I'll portage that day.
Yeah, I mean, Pete, that's what we were talking about, hitting that lateral at the top. I think people mess that up. And so, yeah, having more angle, almost like a downstream ferry is key. But if I'm running like a light 13, I'll probably do that same thing because it's easy. I don't have to like look over my shoulder. I can make that on a ferry.
Yeah.
But with any weight, I'm going to do exactly that.
Yeah, the other thing that I find myself doing at Blossom in that entrance part, which is a little bit nerve-wracking, but we all know that you have to do it sometimes. Like, my nose is as close to that left-hand wall as possible.
To start.
So
you can build momentum to the right.
Yeah. Like, you're looking over there going, I want to be over there, but I'm going to start from over here. And I'm going to get a little bit further over there. I'm going to get a little bit further over there. Not, hopefully I don't hit the wall because that always messes up your angle. But yeah, giving those little pushes away from where you want to go sometimes just to get in that current that's moving not in the wrong direction. It's maybe not moving in the right direction, but also just to give you more time. Thank goodness there's no, this person almost does it.
Like that rock wall right in front of him.
Yeah.
Just really put your nose up on that and then just slowly start pulling your way down.
Yeah. And thank goodness there's nothing down in that entrance that's going to pop your oar, break your oar. Yeah. This person's pretty close to that wall. And then in there, I push a little bit further to the left.
So right here, you get
maybe
past the rock. You get yourself more left.
Yeah, a little
bit. Then start driving down. So you have nice left to right momentum.
And you can take your strokes in that really deep water. Like I said, thank goodness there's nothing in there that can mess you up. I haven't hit anything yet. Knock on wood. Yeah.
Those rocks we did at 900 about a month ago. Those rocks right there were pretty much out. So you really had to go kind of around them to pull into the eddy. But it was way lower. Like it was very slow.
Yeah.
Like people were worried about 900, which there were some new challenges, but the rapid went very slow. So some of the stuff was way easier. All right, you want to look at Clavey? And so, Steve, I think Clavey or like the Tuolumne River is where we met.
Yeah.
And we've shared a lot of time down
Yeah, I pretty
here.
much showed you the way down that river, as I recall.
You taught me the line at Zach's Falls a few times.
I remember carrying all the oars down at Put-in while you were carrying down the Paco pads. What I thought was really cool about this sequence was that it's, sort of the different routes through that rapid and how they change at different water levels.
I mean, so this is like 3,000 CFS?
I think that's what it said, yeah.
Okay, that's all right. Sure, read that. Left entrance. Because to go left, it has to be kind of high.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3,000.
3,000.
Yeah, so this is like a higher water line. And historically, you have to make this hard right move across all the water coming off the falls on the right there. He doesn't seem to have to do that.
Now that hole sort of is washed out at that level, that hole right there. I think that's where the hole is.
Isn't this right here where the hole used to be?
Yeah, this is where the hole is, yeah.
Which,
damn.
So this is the new washed out way. Right angle
yeah.
would not have been pushed.
Yeah, it used to be you had to be way over on the right hand side of the river there. And at higher water level, you have to miss that also.
Wait, so he said, I believe if I had a stronger river right angle, I wouldn't have been pushed left. What do you think, Steve? Is that right?
Yeah, you can see, I mean, this happens a lot where that lateral hits him at a 45-degree angle to the front right part of his tube and shoves his nose to the left. And if he'd been squared up to it, he probably would have cut through it more.
Yeah.
I thought it was a pretty good observation.
Oh, and he's using oar locks.
If he had pins and clips, he would have had a better run too.
Yeah, that makes a difference.
You know what you should do, Mr. Engineer, is do a little analysis on the loss of power between oar locks versus pins and clips.
We could put like sensors on it.
Right, there's inefficiency in that looseness.
Just because it's moving back and forth all the time.
Yeah.
I never thought about that. I would claim that because I've played both sides of this pins and clips versus oar locks debate before. I would claim that the people that run oar locks don't need the power. Right? They're like, oh no, we don't need the power.
Neither do I. I didn't mean it like that.
What they'll say I'm in touch with the river, and I'm more of a finesse boater. I don't fight the river. I use the river to my advantage. I don't need the power. I think that's what a lot of them would claim. I don't know if that's true or not, but
sure, that's a legitimate argument.
So this is the main falls at like the highest, more than 1,000, right?
Yeah, 1,500, I think they said. Right over the fan.
Same boat. This is the same boat. Different day. Looks like the same boat.
So this is the junior number 2 River Ranger.
Okay.
So he goes down the river a lot. He knows the river well. He's done that a lot of times.
Is this the guy who has? Is this the YouTube channel Blown Lines?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We've reviewed some of his videos before.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got a Forest Service helmet on. That makes sense. That's cool. Does the Forest Service have air boats?
I think so.
Man, I love being in this eddy watching boats come down. That's one of my favorite things.
Yeah, that's an airboat.
And that's the one in front. That's Bob's boat. That's the wing.
Yeah. Or the wing. I'm sorry. Yeah.
So I think he's in an airboat. Or maybe that's a Sotar, that blue one he's in. That boat in front's the wing that the Forest Service has. So same flow, right?
I think they said it was a little bit less.
Okay.
But same line. There's a really good view on one of these of the dinosaur rock where those, I think he even talks about it, where those fatalities have occurred. And
so what you're talking about is that rock right there.
Yeah, as they go by, when you look, there was a sort of a nasty pinning spot. So you can get a good view of a side view of right about. Yeah, you can't see that now.
I mean, the 2 fatalities I know of on the Tuolumne, no, there's 3 I know of. The 2 of them were on Dinosaur Rock at like 8 or 10, one at 8,000 and one at 10,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
So much higher water.
Yeah, water. There was water going, but you can see what
where they got pinned.
it looks like it when there's no water. 14-foot air raft.
Oh, there we go. Open oar locks.
Open oar locks.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of like saying we did it on a unicycle to me. Like, oh, we don't open oar locks. Like, or I did it on a single speed mountain bike. It's like let's make it a little bit harder on ourselves, but make sure people know that we challenged ourselves. Huh.
When was the last time you did the Tuolumne, Zach?
I mean, it was an ARTA trip. I mean, 7 years ago.
There's a boat ramp now?
I heard. Yeah, I heard you don't have to carry all the stuff down. I don't want to go back because it's too easy. Everybody up there's getting soft. I want to, do it like we used to do it.
You still can.
Yeah, I know, but nobody will let you.
Oh yeah, and then here's the really low water entrance.
Oh, I love this entrance.
Sort of sweep around from the left.
I mean, Aaron and I used to do this all the time when it was 1,000. It seems like high consequences. It kind of is, but it
kind of is.
You won't get stuck like even 1,000 you can get stuck above if you take the regular right entrance.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this entrance so much. I love it when you go around something like that and just you slow the momentum down and take your time.
The feeling of when your momentum slows down.
Yeah. Now he's gonna go right over that rock. Oh yeah, so this is in low water, and this is like it's a really low water. That rock is really sticking out.
I think we did about 3 weeks of this, maybe a month of this, 3 weeks of this summer.
Of like 700. But yeah. Steve, isn't that rock, this fan rock right here, isn't it 1,000 fully sticking out?
Yeah. Not at 1,000, it's 700. This is 800 plus 150, is according to him, so 950. That's, yeah.
But in normal summer flows, this seems like normal summer flows to me. The way that rock is sort of.
That looks like a little bit lower than normal summer flows. Pretty close, okay. Yeah. And when it drops to one unit, one turbine, that thing is dry on the top almost.
All right. Now for this one. Yeah, we had a nice little comment. Thanks, Forrest. So Greenwall, this is the Illinois River. And would you say this is bigger than Clavey? The Greenwall is a bigger rapid than Clavey?
Oh, man, that's a good debate. I think if you ran Greenwall 3 times a week at the same water level, it would start to you'd start to feel more comfortable with it and probably be less intimidated by it. But I mean, I think the intimidation factor on Greenwall goes up because you see it once or twice a year, rarely see it at the same water level. I mean, it's just, you're going through that learning curve every time. Clavey, I think you get into that routine. Even the high water flows, you can see it. You can see it 1 week and then again the next week. You can see it 1 year and then again the next year. I don't have that kind of familiarity with Greenwall, so to me it's a lot more challenging.
What I struggle with the Greenwall is just that long entrance. You scout and then you're amped and you go up there and you kind of float super quiet. And then it's just like that easy class 3 in the entrance for so long for you just to be like, let's get there, let's get there, let's get there. And there's places in the entrance that can mess you up.
I know. And hard to get out of the current from where this boat is right now all the way through. That's Rick Mayer, by the way, rowing that boat.
Oh, sweet. This is a video from ARTA trip.
I wasn't there. Okay. I don't know what the flow was, but it was
like 3. I saw a part of it. It was like 3,000.
This wasn't a commercial trip.
Okay.
This is higher than we would run it commercially, I think. I hope.
My guess, I didn't watch the whole thing, but I watched part of it. My guess is it's like 3,000, somewhere around there. Did it say in the video? I can't remember.
I don't think so.
And yeah, it's pretty hard.
Illinois flows are so hard to pinpoint, right? I mean, 3,000 at Kirby on a rainy day is different than 3,000 at Kirby on a not rainy day. Look at the waterfall in the background. I mean, that's 50 or 60 CFS right there, adding to it. But there's a moment in this video when we get to it that's blows my mind every time when they come around that corner and you see how big that hump of water is over the entrance rocks.
All right, let's play it. Yeah, this part's hard for me always.
The entrance?
Yeah, I'm always nervous here. Like, you could make a small mistake and it would be really bad. I did a trip with what's his name? He went to nursing school. Aaron was head guide and somebody else and I were ABs. And he popped an oar right here. And like with this shove it back in, it was a pin and clip, and it didn't catch the clip and just fully went in the river.
No.
And was able to get his spare off in time and had a great run.
Because he had his spare tied in with the handle to the back.
Yeah, which is the correct way, right?
Right. Man, that's so good. It's this. That looks like a big wave there. And then that thing.
That hump.
Holy crap. I'm not sure they had intended to go left when they scouted it. It looks like they did, I guess.
Like left over here, left.
Yeah. I think that's where I would want to go.
Yeah.
It's not where the second boat goes.
But right in here can get nasty.
Yeah, I've seen boats at certain water levels get surfed in a hole in there, but I think you want to be over on that left-hand side. Doesn't look like they're doing a lot of being very effective. Right? I mean, they're rowing hard and they're paddling hard, and it's like sort of going where the river wants us to go. But so right there, man, that is money. I mean,
although for me, right here, here's the move I will do at 3,000, or I'll try to go really far left,
eddy out almost.
Yeah, so take like a downstream ferry here and cut through that downstream.
Yeah.
And then get really far. See that rock right there? Get left of that rock. And then come over here and then slow the boat down and have time to get back right. That's what I try to do. The center here really scares me. Like where they went makes me nervous.
That's a 14-foot boat.
Yeah. So I want to go left, but I also want to like have no momentum right now, so I can cut back over here.
Above the slot that these guys go through.
Yeah, above it. I've seen boats get kind of pinned really weird in this lower slot. I mean, it's a good. If you go there, it's probably fine, but things can get weird. The other question I had right here, Steve, let's go back. At this moment right here, what does their downstream safety look like?
Oh, God. Yeah. I know. It's scary. Nothing.
So is there somebody, because the distance between them and the boat behind them is pretty far, right? So if they flip, is there a boat downstream right now? I don't know the answer. Is there a boat downstream right now?
No.
Or is there going to be a throwbags downstream right now? Or if they flip, are they just gone?
There should be, and I hope. I don't think there was. I mean, that was a long ways to walk to put up a throwbag, but
they scattered for sure. I mean, they already walked.
The video.
How many total boats do you think there are? Do you know?
3. I think there's one more still upstream.
But they could have all walked down to scout, left one boat of people at the bottom with throw bags, right? And then 2 boats where the people walk up, run it, and then they wait for that third boat.
Yeah. The sort of flaw in this is someone's videotaping this.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Right? And there's no one like video camera or throw bag. I'm glad.
So there is a
wrong,
third.
so I'm glad we have video of it. But had something gone wrong, you would have felt stupid standing there with a video camera and no throw bag, right?
There's a third boat though. That's a key part of information, and it's not behind that second boat. Right. So
it is behind that second boat, and it's still tied to shore, and they're waiting for these two boats to go through.
What I'm thinking is like there's the person with a video camera taking the video, right? And then there's two other people in that third boat at the bottom of the rapid with throw bags, just in case.
Okay, that would be great.
That's what I'm hoping, right? Like, hey,
let's say that's the right
video camera person is like useless person. Hey, go take video. You can't help us. You're just gonna make this problem worse. And there's two people down there with throw bags in case first boat flips or has a problem. There's at
That'd
least
be the right way to do it.
There's an attempt at safety, because right now, if that first boat is first boat and there's no downstream safety,
swim for your life.
It could be miles.
Yep, I know. When you get to that part of the video and you look at that,
I haven't got that far.
Next little section, what's going on below this rapid, it's just fast around a corner into like self-rescue zone.
This could be higher than 3,000, because at 3,000, I feel like this is more of a hole right here. That's why I think I'm scared of this, because right now it's sort of a freight train, but it may be higher than 3,000, which makes that flush through there. See, if I did a trip once where one of the gear boats went down here into a dead end.
Still there?
No, we had to Z-rig it back up so it can make the ferry over.
Yeah. At high water like this, or
no, a lot lower. It's like probably 1,500.
But if you look down around that corner,
yeah,
that is. If you have a swimmer right here, tough to get him out. And there's not a lot of good spot to have a throwback down there. Like it's a long throw in the middle of the river.
There's not, but it's something.
Yep.
I just feel like I feel like you have almost a duty to do make an attempt at downstream safety.
Yes, I agree.
And this is where like a safety cat or safety kayaker would have been pretty sweet.
Yep.
Like run them lead. You have that downstream safety kayaker or cat is exposed, but if they're either a good kayaker and they're not going to swim because they're so good, or they're in a cat and they have a really low chance of flipping. But it makes me nervous having that. If I'm that first boat, I'm personally I'm not happy right now. And I want that second boat on my tail.
Which is hard to do. We know how hard that is to stay that close and to be that close.
But I would send the gear boat. I didn't realize the second boat was a gear boat. Send the gear boat first. Oh, he makes it right. That's nice. Because the gear boat's less likely to flip because it's heavy. And it's only one swimmer. Yeah, it's only one person swimming. So send the gear boat down and then the paddle boat.
Yeah, that would have been a good strategy. The other thing that I think would be okay, here comes I don't think we get to see this one go through.
Oh, so there's a fourth boat.
Unless the person video with the camera walked around. But putting a throw bag between that entrance rapid and the main part, like
right in there.
Yeah, like right in there. If you have a swimmer in that entrance, like you're gonna.
Yeah.
I don't want to swim that whole rapid.
I think I've put people with throw bags there at different flows, but in my mind, I know it's just more to like
maybe one in 100.
It's like we do something. Like, hey, let's just put somebody there. Like the reality of bagging a swimmer and pulling them in here is pretty low.
Yeah,
but it's like, hey, this is dangerous, and let's if we have the person, let's set it up for safety. And better safe than sorry.
Yeah, and at lower water, you have a little more time, a little more access in this section to use a throw bag. But yeah,
but at lower water, I think they're less likely to have swimmers. Maybe not. Maybe not. I never at this flow. I've always had kayakers. So kayakers first. So like people at the bottom of throw bags for the kayakers first. Kayakers sit in the eddy, and then go back up, run the gear boats, because that's the fewest number of swimmers, and then you have gear boats and kayakers in the eddy, and then all the boats with multiple people last. But like I've run it in stages. Like a few boats go down, then these people walk. It takes a long time. Those boats come down, walk back up, and then the last ones come down.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's a good strategy.
Yeah.
And more boats.
Yeah, what's 4? 4 seems reasonable, I think. What's the biggest level you've run in Illinois, Steve?
Man, when I saw this video, it just looks a lot bigger than anything I've ever seen. So this is probably as high as I've run it. And I haven't run it down at the 500 level that I've seen. So yeah, probably in that 2,500 range.
Yeah.
It's a high end.
Would you run an 8? Have you ever run an 18-foot boat down?
14s and 16s. And I ran it once with Aaron, and at higher than, not this high, and we just ran right down the middle. Like, it was one of those things where if Aaron hadn't been there, I wouldn't have done it. But he was convinced it was the right thing to do. We did it 2 weeks in a row, and it worked. And just like 10 feet off the right-hand shore, if you look, there's a little bit of a tongue at this level.
You mean where they are, or more to the right?
And we were way over to the right of the hump.
Wow.
Yeah, but it wasn't this. There was a line through there. There was like a thin thread.
Yep.
We charged it fast forward and hoped, and it worked. But it was one of those things where Aaron's Grand Canyon experience, Aaron's high water experience looked at it differently than I did. Like I was looking for the low water line, like, oh, where do I eddy out? How do I miss all this stuff? How do I go left to that rock at the top? And Aaron was just like, man, I think you can just catch that little thread of water, and it worked.
It's amazing what you can do if you are planning to do it.
Yeah, I know.
Like, hey, we're just going to hit the hole and we're going to go through it. And then if you're planning on it the whole time, because I do what you're saying, I'll do the low water, I'll downstream ferry, I'll cut over, I'll go around all that stuff. I'll make all these complicated maneuvers to miss this.
Yeah.
And I'm tired. And I have to like set everything up ahead of time. There's a lot of places along the way to make mistakes. Whereas if you just like, hey, we're going to float down, make minimal maneuvers, and then use all of our power and ability, just power through the hole, and then we're done. Like the whole thing comes down to one powering through a hole that if you go on purpose, go through it, you'll probably make it.
Yeah.
If you make a mistake somewhere and go in sideways, that's when you flip.
Yep.
If you make a mistake doing my move, that's when you go through and you cascade into it. Where if you purposefully just power through it, it's probably fine.
Yeah. That was Aaron's final words. Just commit to it. You'll be fine.
Everybody's fine.
Yeah, it works great. And then we did it again, the exact same thing the next week at the same water level. And it was like, oh yeah, this will work. I felt like it was.
Even 14-foot boats.
What's that?
Even 14-foot boats.
14-foot boats. It wasn't this big. It wasn't. I don't think I'd do that.
Okay.
I wouldn't go over there at this water level. That looks crazy. But it was just one of those things where he looked at it differently than I did. The other thing that I remember talking to him about is like, he was like, why do you want to go over to the left? And I'm like, because I'm closer to shore if something goes wrong.
Yeah.
Like
being in the center of the river is terrifying.
You're over there. You're going to swim the whole rapid if something goes wrong. Whereas on the left, you might be like, oh, maybe I'll swim into an eddy.
So we've been doing that velvet a lot, just gutting at like 6 feet.
Yeah.
Like instead of trying, like we've had flips trying hard to avoid it and then hitting velvet sideways. And I'm like, we have 18-foot gearboats. They're heavy. Let's just pull downstream, turn them downstream, and just pull them through the hole.
Really?
And the guide's like, that's crazy. Like, no, just do it. You'll be fine. And it's always worked out. But we've been there before scouting when privates come down. Like there's one trip where a private group came down and like they had swimmers above velvet. Like people were hanging onto the side. 2 different rafts had people hanging onto the side as they entered velvet. And so they came into velvet at 6 feet, like with a person hanging on kind of sideways, came through fine.
Really?
So I think velvet, it looks super scary, but it's kind of a crapshoot.
Yeah.
But if you have so if a 14 can make it through with a little bit of luck, a big heavy 18 should power through.
Yeah, and again, if you commit to it and you keep it straight and you're trying to do it, that's a lot different than going in there as your second choice.
But that's why I was asking about taking 18s down. Because with an 18-foot boat here, I mean, wouldn't this be pretty straightforward? You could hit a bigger piece of that hole.
You can hit a bigger piece of the hole.
You hit more of the side of the hole and you just keep going.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like the second boat does really well. Like if this boat isn't even that heavy.
I think that's a 14-footer again.
Yeah, maybe.
It's a nice little surf there to help.
Pins and clips.
I wouldn't do this with Orlocks.
I mean, honestly, right?
What's that?
You're not even kidding. Like, honestly, you wouldn't do it with Orlocks.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't.
I did a trip. Somebody's beeping behind me. I don't know what it is. I did a trip here at Greenwall on a private trip where I had pins and clips on a 16, and my friend had Orlocks. And we got to Greenwall. He'd never seen it. And he scouted. He said, I'm not going to run this. So I had to run it with pins and clips and then walk back up in with Orlocks. It was terrifying to me. And I admit I'm better. I mean, I'm not that good at Orlocks. I'm fine. I'm adequate. Like I can get a boat down. But like there's some people who are really good at them and know all the tricks. And they're just like more in touch with Mother Nature than I am. But it was, I got in his boat and I was like, oh man, what is going on here? I mean, like, here we go.
Yeah, that's how I feel in Orlocks. Yeah.
Well, Steve, thanks for the videos. I think we're about to wrap up the show. Any final words of wisdom or things you want to talk about before we shut this one down?
No, but I hope you invite me back. I hope Aaron gets sick again. I'm going to send him some cookies, some old cookies, and some vented canned food.
No, we can have you both on.
That would be fun.
We'll do
bore everyone with all of our old stories.
Yeah. So just to remind everybody, this show is every Friday at 2 p.m. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And yeah, we'll see you next week.